All right, first thing first, measure your cabinets. Most dishwashers are a standard size, usually about 24 inches wide by 34 inches tall. So once you verify your cabinet can fit without after removing all of this stuff, we can get to work. So obviously empty out your cabinet. I like to take the drawers out first, so we'll go ahead and do that. All right, once it's empty, you're gonna be taking the doors off. Usually just Phillips screws, and then however your rail system work for your drawers, just go ahead and dismantle that. Mine are basically just stapled in because it's an older style. And then you're gonna be looking on the back side of these cross members, and there will be Phillips head screwdrivers, Phillips head screws, usually down in those pocket holes. So you're gonna wanna undo all those screws. All right, after you get all the pocket hole screws out on the back side of these, you're gonna wanna either grab a oscillator like this. You're basically just gonna carefully go along there, cut it out, because on mine, there are staples on the back side right here. If you don't have one of these, you can just use like a very thin handsaw and just carefully cut this little cross member out. For me, I'm gonna be taking it out to here because this is separate from this, and that gap between here all the way over to here is 24 inches. All right, got the first piece cut out. I'm doing mine in parts. I'm gonna work on getting this bottom trim piece and this top trim piece out next. One thing to be mindful of, there might be screws here, so make sure if you're using an oscillating tool or a saw that you're using the right blade. And also, if you're doing this on an old house, wear a respirator. You never know if they use lead paint on any of this. Plus, my cabinets are MDF, so you don't want none of that getting in your lungs. Before I work on these, I'm just gonna take the shelf out real quick. Every cabinets are different, but mine just has these little slots that it kind of slides in. I'm keeping these front trim pieces in place, so I can't just pull it out. I'm just gonna use a circ saw, cut it down the middle, and then just pull it out. All right, making progress. Gotta haul it out. For the bottom plate, the easiest way to do it is to cut basically a plus sign. So use your circ saw, go straight, do a plunge cut, go that way, finish it off with your oscillator or your handsaw, and then just hammer right in the middle, and it'll basically break it into 4 little chunks like that. Now, for this facing plate right here, kind of like the baseboard of it, you don't want to rip the whole thing out because then you'll have like this gap, like an inch or 2 gap, depending on how your cabinets are. You want it to be in line with this. So just make a line, use your handsaw, oscillator, just cut it down. All right, once your cabinet's starting to look more like a dishwasher opening, next you just want to clean up everything. So this is your opportunity to pull out all these staples. I'm actually keeping this old hardware from these older cabinets because we aren't replacing our cabinets just quite yet. So just in case anything breaks, throwing it in there. But yeah, pull out the staples, and then we'll start to open the dishwasher box, and then we'll figure out where we want to put our hole to access all the plumbing for the sink and the drain. So on to that. All right, once you get it open and everything cleaned up, if you want to, while the dishwasher's out, you can also go ahead and paint these areas, sand them down, paint it. Like I said, we're gonna be replacing our cabinets eventually, so I'm not gonna bother. But clean up your area. We got a little galley kitchen, so we're gonna need all the room we can to get this dishwasher over. All right, once you get your dishwasher out of the box, before you do anything with it, make sure it fits. All right, so for mine to fit, I had to take the little self-leveling legs off. This little 1/4 inch made it just too tall. I didn't want to have to cut my countertop because I feel like that would look weird. But with those feet off, and after checking and making sure the subfloor is actually level, which it is, look at that fitment. Perfect. No gaps, nothing. Next step, heat up your pizza because you're doing this at 6. All right, just got it in and everything hooked up. I'm not gonna go in depth as to how to wire and do all the plumbing because every dishwasher is different. But there's plenty of videos, and also just use the manual. It's pretty straightforward. But gotta say, look at the fitment. Pretty spot on. no gaps. There's like a little stripping along the side there. I will say with the plumbing, I managed to do everything without having to go back to the hardware store. But sometimes you got to add another T to your hot water line. So, and also I have a garbage disposal. So for the drain, you want to make sure that it's elevated above and not just going straight down, because if your garbage disposal were to overfill, it would just drain back into the dishwasher. So you want to make sure that it's above the point that it connects. Most code requires this connection to be 20 inches off the ground, which mine is. If it's not, you might have to add a breather up to the top of your sink. But yeah, obviously after you hook everything up, check for leaks. And for the connections, I just went ahead and used a 3-inch hole saw bit, put a hole in the side of the cabinet and ran everything through. Later on, I'll clean up this and probably zip tie some things. But thank you for watching.